All right, Phil. Yeah, thanks again for being here with us. We did some folks from Idaho, some agents, and we would love to do more of this where we kind of get a peek into other markets because not every market is like ours, turns out. So we thought, hey, San Diego, awesome. So we have a mutual friend who connected us. So appreciate your time on this, Phil. But like maybe before we get into nerdy real estate stuff, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you end up in San Diego?
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate that introduction by our mutual friend. I was born and raised here in San Diego. In fact, my grandfather was born in Carlsbad, which is in North County, San Diego. So I think that makes me 3 generations here, 3rd generation San Diego native. Moved around a little bit. And I've moved to a couple different states, but always found my way back to San Diego. And when I established my professional career, even before real estate, I came back here to San Diego to do that. So there wasn't anything specific that brought me here. I was born and raised in Escondido, California, which is just north of downtown San Diego. So that's how I got here.
Turns out I visit Escondido every year. We go to the Lawrence Welk.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, what is that?
What a great spot.
We don't know what that is.
It's like a timeshare that Lawrence Welk, who was like, I think Daniel Boone or something, and did like all these like fun dancing shows built like way back in the day.
I'm so confused about this.
It's amazing.
Google like Lawrence Welk dancing shows or whatever. They're epic.
They're epic.
Okay, so wait, do you dance?
Yeah, we dance a bit.
What's this going?
The casual demeanor of we dance a bit.
I mean, it's just like fun. It's like a resort. I mean,
it's so funny.
Phil,
no, it's not a dance resort.
Oh, okay.
No.
Do you dance a bit, Phil? No.
Phil's not claiming
Lawrence
it.
Welk was like an old film legend for these like dancing shows, and the whole Lawrence Welk empire turned into this timeshare empire, and they have timeshare properties all around the world.
Oh,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Headquartered in Escondido, California.
Okay.
I'm caught up. I understand. So,
But that's a great place to grow up. And they got a bunch of cool stuff like Stone's Brewery and a bunch of cool stuff.
yeah, it's like a brewery mecca down there.
Yeah, Stone Brewing was founded in Escondido. That's where their main place is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of other fun things to do around there. It's hard for me not to talk real estate because that's just like what
Let's
we
get
do.
into it, man.
Let's do it.
That's all right.
Like, and we don't have to like jump into the real estate thing, but it always comes back to that. You know, Escondido is one of these pockets, like a suburb of San Diego, that's been like more affordable, a little bit further away from the coast. It's been a little bit more affordable. A lot of people go there for a lot of different reasons. In addition to the brewery scene, there's 20 plus wineries in the immediate area there. There's, the San Diego Zoo Safari Park is there. There's lakes, all kinds of stuff there. So
now, are you living there? Are you in San Diego? Where are you based out of now?
So my office is in what we would call the Carmel Valley, Del Mar area. So I'm real close to I-5 and Del Mar. That's where I'm sitting now. My business is just kind of all over the place. It's by way of referral. And so, in the last couple of years, I've done business from the Mexico border all the way up into LA County and all the way east, almost to Arizona. Now, I don't do everything, but, when it makes sense, we go.
Wow.
So I say we, it's just me, but,
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Are you specializing in luxury? Is that something that you do?
Not particularly. I think of luxury in terms of a level of service and not just a product or a price point. I mean, I did sign a listing just down the street here in Del Mar for a little over $5 million last week, but I also have stuff in the under $1 million category, and my average price point over time runs just about $1 million. So I don't only do one thing or another. Again, it's more about the people I'm connected with, my friends, my relationships, and then providing a better level of service, more of a luxury service.
That's great.
That's a great way to.
That's a great way to. Yeah, exactly. How did you get into real estate, and then why Keller Williams?
So I've done a lot of different things. I would say I kind of joke with people that I have an attention problem. I do have a small attention problem, but when it comes to real estate in particular, I find that every transaction, every property is different, every person is different, and so every situation we get into is this like complex problem that needs to be solved. And for me, that's what makes real estate like so interesting, and it definitely has my attention. Before real estate, I was mostly in the finance world. I have a finance MBA, worked with a couple of Wall Street firms and that kind of thing, and worked in the banking business after the stock market business. And I had used 5 different agents over the course of my buying, selling, and investing in real estate, and I had never used the same one twice. Like after every transaction, I was like, well, that kind of sucked. So I'm going to go find somebody else for the next one. And it's what inspired me to get into the business, because I was just like, I was kind of burning out of the banking career, and I really, really have always had a passion for real estate. And so I just figured, why don't I jump in and do it the way I think I can do it? And that's what I did. And so I got into real estate 10 years ago. It'll be 10 years in January, so about 9.5 years ago.
Wow.
I started with a luxury broker here in San Diego, Pacific Sotheby's. That's a Sotheby's franchise, and spent the first 3 years of my career there. But and things have gone very well for me there. I was just looking for more, and I was doing a lot of reading, a lot of research, and I had read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book multiple times, and my thought was, if they wrote the book on real estate, maybe there's something in their culture that's going to help me in my business. And so I moved over here, and it's been amazing. It was awesome. Everything I expected. I really, really love the culture here, and I'm super involved here. I'm on the ALC here, I'm Eagle Award winner here. About 6 months ago, I took over our productivity coaching team. And so I'm coaching a lot of new agents and a lot of agents that are they've been in the business a while, but just need some help and some accountability in their business. And so I have that group as well, in addition to my own business. It's a great
I love that
thing. But I stay active, I stay busy. I have 134 agents in my coaching program.
Wow.
And then I do my own business too. So
man,
it's incredible.
Do you sleep? That's a lot of work.
Do you want to move?
Do you want to move? Yeah. How do you feel about the Central Coast, Phil?
I got like 8.5 hours of sleep last night.
Awesome. That's amazing.
Gosh,
yeah, you're crushing life.
Is crushing
so this is actually a coaching call. You didn't know that, but you're coaching us now.
Well, tell us a little bit about like the culture, heart of San Diego. Like, what do you love about San Diego? Just kind of like dive into what like drives people to move to San Diego.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, the weather has got to be one of the things. I know Central Coast is one of the most ideal kind of weather spots also, but if you look at the Bay Area compared to us and the amount of sun and the average temperature and things that we have, I think the environment here, just weather-wise, except right now we're having like this crazy heat wave. It's almost 100 degrees outside of Del Mar.
Wow.
I've never seen that.
That's wild.
So, but the climate is certainly something that brings people here. And when we had, post-COVID, with people working remotely, we saw a big migration of people out of LA, out of the Bay Area to San Diego, and a lot of migration here from other places too. But I think the climate is one of the draws. I think even though it's kind of counterintuitive, the affordability here, if you're looking at LA or Orange County, LA, Santa Barbara, the further you move north, the more expensive it gets up to the Bay Area. And so there were people like moving out of the Bay during COVID that are selling like a $2 million condo, and they're buying a big house down here near the ocean. So even though it's expensive for most of us San Diegans in the context of what other parts of California look like, it's been more affordable. So I think climate, price, and then the amount of things that we can do here. Southern California is famous for being able to, in the right season, you can go surf in the morning and ski in the afternoon, and the amount of things that we can do here is really pretty amazing.
That's so cool.
I love that. I know I've spoke to so many people recently, even moving there from here, which I thought was interesting about the pricing. They said the same thing, that they found some pockets that were much more affordable. So that being said, it sounds like you have a lot of people who want to live there. Can you tell us what that looks like? Like what are the prices, average prices? What are you seeing in the market there? What's happening?
Yeah. So every month, we look at the stats and things kind of bounce around a little bit. But if I just make some generalizations here, for single family detached housing in San Diego County as a whole, we're right about $1 million. plus or minus. Blended, we're about 950. So attached housing, so condos, townhomes, and single family detached. Median pricing is about it was 950 in August. Now, San Diego County is huge. I mean, you can spend, in Escondido, for example, you can spend 40 minutes driving from one side of Escondido to the other and never leaving the city.
Wow.
So, I mean, you can drive an hour and a half and still stay in San Diego County. So we're very, very diverse, all kinds of little micro economies around the county. But around $1 million is what you're going to spend for a detached home here. You know, you're going to get a 2-bedroom condo near the coast for $1 million, or you can get a detached house moving further east for $1 million. But every little micro economy, or every little town and city is its own micro economy, and things act completely different from, 5 minutes down the road to another 5 or 10 minutes this way. You can literally double in price point. So it really it's really an interesting market, and it's really tough to just generalize because we have so many different, and I'm sure your area is similar.
Yeah.
It's almost like
very similar price point.
Yeah,
actually.
very similar price point.
And the same experience where, there's so much variance.
Yeah.
How about days on market? I'm kind of curious, what's that look like? Again, averages are only so helpful, but give us a high level.
Yeah. So we see a lot of seasonality here in Southern California, even though we have great weather all year long, we do see quite a bit of seasonality. And if we were to look at like inventory levels and that sort of thing on a chart, it literally looks like a EKG, like it's like, or a heartbeat. It does the exact same thing seasonally every year. And we tend to see our market kind of speed up, our market times speed up in the spring and summer, and then start getting longer and longer. So this is the time where we typically transition from shorter market times to longer market times. And we'll kind of see that extend out into the holiday season and then start picking back up and the market accelerating and getting faster in the after January 1st. We have seen, if we're looking like month over month, like this past August, compared to what we were last year in August, our market times are higher. So we are looking at just about 30 days on the market, just under 30 days on the market right now. And that's up slightly from like 22, 23 days on the market last August, August of 2023. So we are seeing the market turn a little bit, get a little bit slower, listings taking a little bit longer to sell. And that happens every year seasonally. But looking at this season versus last season, we are seeing that get a little bit longer.
Interesting. Okay. And
it's not like, I listened to your Boise podcast, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, market times are like, 60 days or whatever. And for us, that's like,
I know. Whoa, that's an eternity.
60 days.
I know my parents are buying and selling there, and they'll call me and ask me some questions. And I'm like, our markets are so different. Our average days on market is like 12 here or something crazy. So it's like if your house sits for 2 weeks, you're like panicking. I know. It's been a month.
Yeah.
It's very normal.
Like a slower open house this weekend. I'm like, oh my God.
And it's funny because as I kind of mentioned before, I work with a lot of new agents, and they're like, the sky's falling. We can't sell properties, or it's taking longer, and they kind of catastrophize things. But like all we have to do is like take a little broader perspective, and we're still like our market times are still so low, and our inventory levels are still, they're up from the last few months or last year or whatever. But historically, we're still in such a shortage that the context helps, certainly. Yeah.
So are you seeing prices, as far as a trajectory goes, continue to increase? Maybe not at the same clip they were, 3 years ago or so, but still seeing appreciation?
Yeah, we've seen kind of the same thing in each of the last 3 years, starting in 2022, I should say. 2022, 2023, 2024, where we saw really, really strong price appreciation in the spring. And then we saw kind of level off and even declines in the end of summer into the fall and winter. And this year is setting up to be kind of the same way. We had pretty strong price appreciation in the spring, and that made up some of the softness in the previous fall. And if we were looking year over year, we are still seeing incremental price growth. It's just not crazy price growth like it was before.
Yeah.
I mean, if I look at the market now with our increasing market times, increasing inventory, but knowing like what's happening in the interest rate market, looking at what's happening with the in the geopolitical scene and the election on the horizon, I think we're probably going to continue to see a little softness here. But then as soon as we get past the election with low interest rates, we're back at the races again and post January. So
across the board.
I'm always so surprised at like how elections matter. Like it's just people like get so hesitant to do anything. Like really, nothing ever really changes, that much before or after election. But
people think it does.
It takes time.
It definitely affects behavior. That's for sure.
It affects behavior so much, though.
Are you seeing that? Are you seeing people in that wait and see mode up there?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean,
I think more for interest rates than anything right now.
But when I talk to people,
close.
people are like, I want to see what happens with the election. They like literally say that. And you're like, really?
Yeah.
Like, does it matter? Like you would not buy a house or buy a house first based off like whether someone gets elected or not?
Leaving the
we're going
the
to
US.
we're going to a different country.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of the especially the buyers that I'm talking to there, it's more like interest rates are stable enough where I can engage and I can refi if they're going to go down like people think it is. I'm just waiting on the right place because inventory is just so low.
So low.
I think that's been the thing that has caused more delay than anything else.
Sounds like you guys have more inventory with like being at 30 days on market,
Yeah, we've seen the amount of closed sales go down year over year. And so we are seeing a little bit more inventory on the market. Like
less than last year. Last year was painful though.
Yeah, this time last year, we were like 1.5 months of inventory on the market across the county. And that means that like some places, especially in our luxury markets, still had like 3-4 months on the market. And other places had like 0, like whole zip codes that had like 1 house on the market.
Interesting.
So we have seen that increase. We're up to about 2.5 months of inventory. So it's a pretty significant increase over where it was last year. So we're feeling like things are slower and buyers have more choice, even though still 2.5 months is not a lot, obviously, in the context of a greater market.
That's interesting.
Thinking about that though, when you're seeing those things sitting, are there certain neighborhoods or certain areas that you're telling your clients like, hey, there's a bigger opportunity here, or where are you kind of driving people for those deals? Like we have certain little pockets here where we're like, this is going to be up and coming. This might be a safe bet.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, we have folks that are like our entry level buyers. And if somebody wants an entry level single family home and is kind of, stretched on price, they're typically looking towards the outskirts of the county. We're looking at Escondido and further north, maybe even like Valley Center or Fallbrook, or in the middle part of the county, or we're moving more east, like Santee, Lakeside, kind of pushing out that direction. In the city, it's really tough to find any detached house that's livable. Like you can find something that's got like a lot of problems and you don't really want to live there in that price point. But even those are getting scooped up real fast by investors. So I would just say moving further north away from, San Diego City proper, and east are kind of where there's more entry-level housing. We're really geographically constrained here, and so we don't have like new home development that's happening in San Diego. We have like little pocket infill communities where somebody's going to buy like a couple acres and then like they're going to put 5 houses on it or something like that. But we just don't have enough space. We have the ocean to the west and we have the mountains to the east. And there's really we're kind of built out. And so there's not really any new like growing or expanding areas. 15 years ago, that was a different story, but all those places got built out in the Carmel Valley and Forest Ranch and Pacific Highlands Ranch and south in Chula Vista and Otay Ranch. But most of that stuff's done. So we have a couple different things. We have the whole fix and flip thing is a big space here where there's tons and tons of investors looking for opportunities to fix and flip. And then we had some legislation change here in San Diego recently around people's ability to commute on public transit. And there are certain zones around public transit, whether it be trolley, bus, train, what have you, that when you're within a certain amount of distance from that, will now allow new construction with zero parking allocation.
Okay.
And so we're looking at where they've changed density opportunities. And so we're seeing more infill opportunities where people can build condos with no parking because of the proximity to transit.
Interesting.
But I wouldn't say like there's one area where everybody's going.
Yeah. Are there other trends that you're seeing, like more or less first-time home buyers entering the market, people moving, in from specific geographies, like you mentioned, Bay Area, that kind of stuff? Any other trends like that you're seeing?
I think a lot of it slowed down actually. Like a couple of years ago, post-COVID, that was the rage. Like so many people, we used to hear about people moving down from the Bay Area, but statistically, we saw almost double the amount of people coming in from LA than we did in the Bay Area.
Really?
Whoa.
So we had a lot of people coming in from LA and Bay Area. We had a lot of foreign investment as well. We still see some of that from Asia and other places. But I think generally speaking, we have a lot of people moving within California, but we have a lot of Southern Californians we see still moving out. Still moving to Texas, still moving to Arizona, still moving to Washington, Idaho, Florida, some of these other states. But that movement slowed down a lot.
Yeah.
As far as those general trends, I don't see any like specific geographies moving here. The Bay Area migration slowed down. The Los Angeles migration has slowed down. Foreign investment has slowed down. And we do see, the retiree saying, I can sell my house and go buy something somewhere else for cash, have no mortgage, and have a nest egg. And so I think that'll probably still continue to happen.
Sure. Yeah, good. I mean, is there anything, it's hard, it's like a crystal ball kind of a question, but as you look into the next year or two, what do you anticipate happening in the San Diego market?
Yeah, I wish I had the crystal ball. I mean, to me, it does look it looks pretty plain. Like it looks pretty straightforward going out another 6 or 8 months, maybe. Like, yeah, I'm not a bettor or a gambler, but if I was, I would bet we're going to have a pretty soft, fall and winter. And after the election season passes, we're going to get a much busier market. And that probably will happen. What happens beyond that, I'm not exactly sure. There's so many things that can change that are unpredictable. But one of the things that I can say is we've kind of hit a level, and I don't know how it is up where you are, but we've hit a level here where affordability is really a challenge for people. We have like multiple families and generations of families living in the same home.
Yeah, it's sad.
There's big trends, for ADU construction. Legislation has been changed here and rules have been changed here in San Diego where every property, as long as there's enough square footage in the lot, can add up to 2 ADUs. And so we're going to see a lot of that happen. We see a lot of this, I was going to say like shelter in place, but that's not the right word. It's more like hunkering down.
Hunkering down, yeah.
That move up buyer is no longer going to move up, right? They're just going to add onto their house or build, more to accommodate them. And that move down buyer is going to lock off part of the house or create an ADU. And so we don't have as much of that move up and move down buyer anymore. We have more of a hunkering down. And so I think we're probably going to return to a more normal, like pre-COVID type of market if we look out a year or two, where, not every home that comes on the market is going to sell over asking with 10 offers, right? At the same time, there's going to be I think there's opportunity for folks like us and opportunities for buyers to be able to negotiate better deals for themselves. There's more leverage on the buyer side now. And I think we'll continue to see that as a trend.
Cool.
Yeah.
But I think we're probably going to see more people like adjusting their house or making their house accommodate them rather than just bouncing around to a bunch of different houses.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, if you were just kind of off the forecast that you're just talking about, if you're a buyer or seller entering into this market in San Diego, what advice would you give them?
I think buyers right now have been a little scared to like pull the trigger on things.
Yeah.
And I would try and instill confidence with people. Like right now, the general forecast, not my forecast, but you can just Google it, is for a trend of interest rates falling.
Right.
And we're seeing that. And so people want to wait till they get lower interest rates. But what they don't realize is that in a lot of cases, when interest rates fall, as you know, demand increases. So it's like, if you can stomach making the payment now, you can buy a great house for yourself. You have the ability to negotiate a great price for yourself and find the home that you want. And then if or when interest rates drop in the future, you're able to refinance if that happens.
Right.
And guess what? If interest rates fall and you're refinancing with equity because the demand has pushed prices up. And if that doesn't happen and interest rates continue up, you still have a great rate that you can afford and you've got the house that you want. Right? I think the challenge is when people wait. Now, obviously, if they've got some situations in their life where their financials are improving or they have some specific goals or working towards, fantastic. Like, I don't want to twist anybody's arm. I'm just saying, if you're thinking about waiting to buy, the chances are that, you may be able to get a better rate, but you're going to pay more for your house, and it's going to end up costing you more by waiting than it is by just entering the market now as a buyer.
Yeah, that's good.
What about on the selling side? What advice for sellers?
I think it really comes down to motivation and what their goals are. Like, if somebody needs to move now, they need to get their house on the market and sell it. We need to be aggressive with it. Because I think, again, market times are going to continue to get longer here into the end of the year. If somebody's a strategic seller and they're like, I don't need to sell, I can wait till I get the best price, right? Then we talk about timing and what makes the most sense, right? Maybe it would make sense for them to sell next spring. And if this wasn't an election year, I would have more uncertainty about what that would look like. But I feel like right now we have a little bit more clarity. Now, I don't know whether that's going to be like we're going to be selling at the same prices that we're selling today because we're going to see a decline and then it's going to bounce back up, or we're going to see any significant increase. I don't know. But I think if it's a strategic seller, time is more on their side. And if it's a seller that has a high level of motivation and needs to move, it needs to be ASAP. Because the market's going to get a little softer here towards the end.
That's wise.
All right, Phil, it's time to get to know you a little bit. These are the 4 questions we ask every guest on the podcast. You ready? Okay. Question number 1. What is your favorite book, movie, or TV show?
Book, movie, or TV show? Okay, I'm going to kind of take off the last 2 and just ignore those. And here's the reason why. I grew up basically without TV.
Oh,
so I've never been a big TV watcher or movie watcher.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen some good ones, but I just don't have that much experience.
That's awesome. That's probably really healthy.
There's a lot of great books. Probably one of my favorites. I mean, I think Think and Grow Rich is probably one that people say a lot, but there's another one that's kind of like a condensed version of that called As a Man Thinketh. Have you guys heard or read that?
No, I need to.
It's like 100 pages or less, and you're like, how could this be that impactful? You read like 3 sentences, and you're like, whoa.
I'm gonna put this down for a little bit.
We gotta read this.
Book club. Yeah. We'll do
it's like concentrate. It's like you got to read that a couple times. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
As a Man Thinketh would be one of my favorites.
Okay.
Love it.
That's awesome.
There's our homework.
Okay. I love that. Okay. Yeah. So this one's really cool. Like, who's the most influential person in your life?
Yeah, I think that's a really tough one for me. That's a really tough one for me because I've had a lot of influential people in my life, and there's nobody that like stands out that's my person. There's been seasons in my life where somebody's been really important, or somebody in business, or somebody spiritually, or in different parts of my life. I've also had a lot of negative influences in my life, like where like it's an important person to me because I didn't want to do like somebody was close to me. I'm like, I don't want to do life like that. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
so
yeah.
Like, I'm not going to name names or anything like that. But
Darn.
I think I've had a lot of negative influences in my life. So, which I've turned into positives for me. If I was going to single out any one person, I guess it would probably be my brother. Just because he and I have a lot in common, and we've come from different places. Like the way we think is different, but he's been like my go-to adventure partner, and obviously we grew up together. But if I've ever needed anybody to like, as a partner to do something crazy, do a lot of physical stuff that sometimes people think is off the radar. I don't know. Anyway, I can always call on him, and he'll be one that just says yes because he trusts me. and he knows that we won't die together.
What's the craziest physical thing you guys have done? I would love to hear, like,
Oh, like I did a triathlon for the first time last year,
Wow.
and it was Ironman California.
dude, way to go.
Yeah.
Come on,
Kind
stud.
of an extreme
Yeah,
personality.
pretty low bar there,
Okay.
Phil.
I love that.
Question
All
number
right,
3.
That brings us around. Okay,
I
so
retired from triathlon at that point. I did
Yeah.
Ironman California,
One and done.
the full, and my brother did that with me. He's like, because we were talking around Thanksgiving a couple years ago, and I'm like, he was asking me, what's on your things to do this next year? And I'm like, I'm searching for something. I feel like we've done a lot of stuff, and it hasn't always been with him. And he said, we should do triathlon. And I said, yeah, I think that's right. And I'm like, so what we got to do? And he's
oh
like,
my gosh.
no, we're not. I'm like, oh yeah.
We're doing
We
the
have some
triathlon.
extreme sports. Well, that brings us to maybe part of that is in this next answer of this question. Describe your ideal day in San Diego. So is there some extreme something going on in that day?
No, I mean, my ideal day, I do, in most cases, there's always like little pockets, let's say I get sick or something like that, or have a cold or whatever. But my morning routine is really important to me. I'm usually up really early and I do kind of the same things every morning, and that kind of drives my day. But I guess my ideal day in San Diego would definitely be something with some outdoors in it, whether that means like watching the sunrise from the water out in the surf, or being up in the mountains for a hike, being with friends or family. And it's hard not to work also, because I love what we do. Even when I was sailing yesterday out on the bay and answering a few text messages, and that's kind of the perfect day.
That's awesome.
That's
I love
great.
that. I love working with people that love what they do.
Yeah.
Difference.
Come on up, Phil. We need
Yeah.
you.
Wow.
yeah.
We got at least we got a new referral agent. in
That's
San
right.
Diego.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Okay.
Likewise. Yeah.
Final question. How do people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about the San Diego market?
Yeah.
What's the best way?
Thank you. The best way is probably just my name, Phil Gibbs. You can just type in Google Phil Gibbs San Diego, and probably the first 8 or 10 records are all going to be they're all going to be me there, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook or my website or whatever. Like, I don't want to give you a phone number, say you must write this down and call me, or else you're not going to get in touch with me. Just my name in Google, reach out to me however you want.
You can still give us your phone number, though.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
should just throw it down right now. People can
All right,
reach
I
you.
will.
Okay.
It's 760-519-7984 if you're wanting to call or text. But,
awesome.
There you
There
go.
you go.
Or just reach out to us. I've got it. We'll connect you.
Perfect.
So, Phil, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Thanks for the opportunity. It's a pleasure getting to know you guys.
Yeah.
You too, my
Yeah,
friend.
likewise.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Okay. Sounds great.
See ya.
Here, guys.
All right. Bye.